It's August the 8th, 2019, Atikaki Provincial Park in Manitoba. And the pilot dropped us off with our canoes about 2 hours ago on Black Lake. I looked at the Google images at home and kind of knew that if we came around this one corner there might be some nice flat open spots, and I wasn't disappointed when I got here. There were some little rain clouds moving through, so first thing we did is got working and we got the tarp up as the first pot of coffee was put on the boil. And I think we're getting old and soft. This is the first year we brought these chairs, but we've got a couple of the Helinox sunset chairs there with a nice high back, and they sit kind of high. It'll be really nice because this is a laid back trip. We're going to be moving around, but it'll be days and days in the same camp. We're here for 21 days, and so not much place to go and no hurry. We're going to move north up to what's called Brad Lake before the end, but we have no schedule. This campsite is so big and spacious that our sleeping arrangements are far flung. This is Ron's Exped Aries tent here. Probably a tent you can't get anymore, but other makers make that hoop design. It's a very nice, compact, straight wall tent that works out really great for camping like this. Partner Jim, he always likes to get off away by himself, and so down the shore a ways there's a real nice mossy point right out in the water, and when I saw that I knew it had Jim written all over it, so I came and got him and said, check this one out. Well, it fit his bill perfectly, so he's set up camp down there. I have a tent just like Ron's, and it's over probably about 70 yards to the other direction. Again, this campsite big and sprawling, so everybody has their space, plenty of room. Really nice. This would be the west deck. Slide along. Coming up on my bedroom wing here someplace. I'm off here. I'm up in the trees up there. Come along. This is our evening deck here. We have reasons because of the way the sun hits our eyes and things that we do this. Come along now. We're going to look up into our central camp. Jim's up there getting some things. We can buy here now. Now this is our morning deck. This is where Ron's tent in the background. Ron there enjoying his day. And then when we get past the morning deck, get way down here. Now this is Jim's bedroom annex down here. This has got Mr. Jim written all over it. Got his private little jetty down here, a nice place to sit out inside his tent. He can even watch the sun coming up in the fog. And then as you go further down yet, that next deck down there, that's the bathing deck. It's got a real nice walkout. You can go off in the deep water or take a gradual walk out into good stuff. Quite the campsite. Now this is not an animal trail. This is the trail that partner Jim runs over to his private little point over here in his campsite. This track wasn't even here, but he's run over here so many times you'd think this was a well-used campsite. He doesn't sit still too long. A little while is long enough, then he's up stirring. Just a short walk above our camp up the hill. I guess we could probably call this our football field if we were so inclined. Big sprawling stretch of open rock. Been a real dry summer up here at Atikaki, and I haven't found very many good blueberries, but this is about as good a clump as I found. They got a little bit of body to them. Most of them are just really a little shriveled up, but I think all this moisture, when there was rain, it rolled down this hill and made a nice little wet pocket here for these blueberries to get a little growth. Powers of nature. Probably a crack in that rock. Some water got down in the crack, it froze, and eventually burst that rock right apart. Sometimes it's just best to... Your rocks don't always sit in the right place, but sometimes you need to leave them the way they are, or you'll have this happen. This country's also dotted with these big erratics. This big one here is pretty good size, but there's some laying around. If you find them, it might be 4 times that big. Big boulders dropped by the glaciers. A very tedious camp chore has always been filtering the water with the old hand pumps where you pumped and you pumped down by the lake shore, and it was always like, uh-oh, we need water. And someone would get up and go down and start pumping, but these gravity flow bags now where you just fill the bag up and the filter's hanging there between, and it takes a little bit for the water to come through, but it's really nice. And then you just gravity comes down, and then you've got a bladder down here on the bottom that allows for gather up, you know, a few quarts at a time, and you just keep ahead of it, get rid of that nasty chore of pumping water. For our communication and for safety purposes, I'm kind of like still old school. I still have that satellite phone in the Pelican case down there, but my 2 partners, they've gone to the Garmin InReach with the 2-way texting, which is just a fantastic way we can get weather reports off that. But with my new camera, having rechargeable batteries only, and the InReaches are the same way, and we've gone into the modern age now, and I have that Goal Zero solar panel down there, and I have 2 of that next device down, that little box down there. That's a battery, a rechargeable battery, and all of our little devices, they just hook up into that little battery pack and recharge using the USB cords. So it's been very, very nice to have that. It's just kind of a upgrade. It's the future, so we're just going along with it because it saves carrying all those AA's for all them other devices and cameras of the old days. I guess we could call this corner the fuel depot or the power station or something. See there, the naphtha or white gas fuel we use in our stoves. We just brought in the gallon cans, and I can refill the MSR fuel bottles as we use them. I mentioned I have a little chainsaw out here for cutting the logs off the portages, and that's why I have the quart bottles back there of chain oil, and another bottle I can just carry a portion of my fuel in. I don't need to take that bigger can on the right out of camp. It can just stay here. You can, down there, the little green, you can see I've got 2 of my camera batteries charging right now. Got my little water bottles down below the red cans for travel. Got a big pruners. It's with the little orange handles on it. It's like a 17-inch pruner. It works really good for trail maintenance when you don't want to be carrying the saw along. Then I got my day pack and a fanny pack. That's what I kind of use around camp as I go out to travel, carry my supplies. Our camp central, it's all set up under the big tarp, probably a 12 or 13 feet long. We found out like a 10-foot tarp just isn't big enough because the rain will come in from the side. And even now, if we get a windy rain or something, we have another tarp that we'll we'll put a wall wherever it's needed to keep the water from coming in on us. But so far in the week we had a little shower one morning, but otherwise the weather has just been beautiful. A few clouds today. It's kept a little bit cooler. The sun isn't quite so bright, but that's okay. This is our 7th day on our trip. We're on Black Lake in Atikaki Provincial Park, Manitoba. Our initial plan was that we were going to move on a little bit and spend the 3 weeks on maybe several different sites, but we've decided that this is really nice right here. The portaging, we're all getting older, and we've decided that we're going to just keep having our fun right here. We have a lot of lakes to go out to. There hasn't been too many walleye here on Black Lake, but a 0.8 mile portage away we found a little what we call our honey hole lake, and we went over yesterday afternoon and brought back enough walleye for a great feed. They're out right now trying to get some northern pike that we might keep on the stringer to have some fish and hash browns for a morning breakfast sometime. While they're out fishing, I figured even God rested on the 7th day, and I've decided to do the same thing. I'm doing a lot of running around. I'm just tired, so I'll show you our camp here. Some of the things that maybe we've gotten older and lazier, or maybe older and wiser, but this is the first time we brought these Helinox sunset chairs with us, and they've been really nice as we slow down and sit around camp more, and they're easily portable. We have nice flat rock here at this campsite, so they work out really good. Swing around now and we get into our kitchen arrangement. It's under a tarp. That pole in the center is tied down to rocks in the bottom and tied to the tarp on top in the center, so that even when the wind comes up, it doesn't lift that pole up in the air. If you've ever camped like this, you'll know what I mean. Wind comes up, the next thing you know, your staff pole is flying through the air. And we made a few alterations here. There's a lot of flat rock around, so I have the chainsaw for my portage cutting, so I cut a few pieces of wood, and I made a shelf so we can have everything handier over there. For our cooking, we use a little Peak 1 stove that you can't buy anymore, and down lower you'll see that there's a slat grill, and I don't know if you can buy those anymore, but they really work nice for when we're cooking fish with hot grease and cooking pancakes with a bigger fry pan. Very stable and very nice when you're base camping like this. The other additions are, well, if you see all those Lexan bottles over there, they've got all of our supplies, and then in the blue barrels I have vacuum packed all the things to refill them with. So the coffee, I guess we drink a lot of coffee, so believe it or not, we've got 8 Lexan bottles full of coffee, and it might just go the 3 weeks, a little bit left over. And then some of the other things, we use Ritz crackers for our fish breading. So that jar you see there, the orange one, that's I use the rolling pin at home and rolled them up really fine, and that has really made a great fish coating. The pizza sauce down there, we're going to have pizzas tonight. We still got some shredded cheese and what was the cooler over there, but the dry ice is gone, and we had our last of our fresh bacon this morning, but it was really nice. It lasted really nice. So then we just keep everything over here on that tarp on the grounds where after we do our dishes, we lay them there. And then the big blue barrels are a very nice addition to carry food, keep it away from the rodents, be able to throw a lid on night and be pretty secure. Where we're camped here, there's bears around, but they're wild up here. We've never had an issue with a bear in camp, and so we just leave the food barrels right there. We don't tie them up. We don't go out and hide them in the woods. But if we saw a lot of fresh bear droppings around or sign, we probably would. This lake is a long trek over to it, but we brought the canoe over, and when we talk about this lake, we call it Honey Hole, for lack of another name. And it paid off again today.
A good supper tonight.
And the old information I have and the old maps, this is one of the ways that they show to access what we call Honey Hole Lake. We clean the portage that goes overland all the way. This one goes up through this creek bed, and at one time, by the high water mark on the walls over here, I think that the beavers had this really backed up where you could paddle probably most of the way up to Honey Hole Lake. When I'm standing out there alongside them, it's about breast high. So it must have been quite a pond at that time. I had to push through one stretch, about 100 meters of thick alder, but otherwise it's been a open, grassy creek sides all the way to here, and I'm almost out to the lake. This is a little bay that comes off of Honey Hole Lake after that long grassy portage, and it had about 100 meters of that alder thick, about 3/4 of the way through. Then it got a little bit tangly out here near the mouth, but I think maybe people have just been pushing their way through. So far I haven't found any real portage, but there are some cairns, rocks right here. Kind of signifies somebody's pointing just to hit into the brush right here. Well, a person could push his way through there, a little bit of trimming, just to walk in that bog grass until it gets knocked down by some trips through. It'd be kind of rough, but otherwise it's just a long trek through there. Looks like it was probably built up in a few different editions over the years. This little annex out here was, the logs were just butted up in the corners, and then that lumber was used to hold them up. Whereas it looks like the bigger structure over here was actually the logs were notched and put together. The walls are all chinked, and they have the small spruce saplings nailed into the bigger gaps. Makes me think it was made to take some cold weather. But as I look around this old barrel stove down here, it was a very primitive setup with no door in the front or anything. They just had a hole in the top to throw wood in, and the stove pipe kind of coming out of the back side. And that probably would be the vent through the roof. I've been thinking just a trapper's cabin they stopped by, but the size of the cabin, the bedroom additions on the end, this smaller boot, the way it's laid out makes me think this was somebody probably actually lived here a longer period of time. I was wondering, it's a pretty good sized thing to be keeping warm, but they had this barrel of a stove. As is typical, the tar paper roof starts to leak and water come in, and it all rots away and falls in the middle first. Looks like Jim's ready to take over the canoe and head out. going fishing. Surprise, surprise. You know, I was feeling sorry for our kitchen boy. He's been doing our dishes and supposed to be taking care of all that cleanup, and in the trade-off we do all the preparing and all the cooking and all that kind of stuff. All you gotta do is do the dishes and take care of the kitchen. And I felt sorry for him, so this morning I told him, you and Ron, you go off fishing before the wind kicks up. I'll take care of the kitchen duties. Well, in looking around, I realized that kitchen boy, he hasn't swabbed this floor since we got here. Now I gotta get it all caught up. One more reason to bring a bucket on a canoe trip. My fishermen are finally coming in for our lunchtime. Number again?
Just made it. Byron's got a video up here.
The wind is coming around this, our far west deck down there. Ron's pulled 2 walleye out of there in the last few minutes. I think Jim's still up sleeping, but not bad for an afternoon of fishing right from the campsite shore. We got smoke coming across the lake, but it's not from my cooking. It's from a fire that must be that fired up again. There was a big fire over on the Ontario border. It started July 2nd, and then it got a lot of rain and knocked it down, but apparently it's fired up again. I think our wind direction is going to cooperate with us, though. It changed tomorrow and blow it north. It's pretty much east of us, so that's a good thing. The fire over in Ontario, I just zoomed in on it with the camera. It's probably 8 to 12 miles away, I suppose. Fortunately, the wind's blowing the smoke away from us. There's a little thunderhead develops right on the leading edge here on the right, but it's gone right now. But it must be burning hot enough to get its own little weather system above the hot spot. Nothing like we had here last year, though. We were down about 5 or 6 miles south of here on No Name Lake, and then we went over to Saskatchewan Lake when the fires got going hotter. And here's one of the scenes that we experienced in last year's fire, so this one's rather tame by comparison. Took a little day trip over to 3 or 4 miles down Black Lake. Black Lake's shaped like a boomerang, and we're down near the southeast end, and we're going to go up around the corner and change camps tomorrow morning. Better fishing holes up there. We've been here for 2 weeks, and nicer scenery and just a good little change of pace. So we'll finish out our trip up there. It'll also get us further away from the chance of this smoke coming our way. What do you got there, Jim?
Well, this is a lure I found. I think it resembles a loon, but if I was a loon, I'd be offended because it doesn't look like one. Back flippers go around and around, and I think it's designed to catch northern, but if I was a northern, I think it might run if I saw this coming to me or going away from me. So I'm going to put it in water and just kind of see how it runs.
Yeah, let's see what kind of action it has here.
Okay, dokie. I'm not going to cast it, but I'll put it in. I'm afraid it would break the line on the pole. It's so big.
That's so.
Okay, I think it's running. Marty and Ron are down by the lake, sitting in their lawn chairs drinking coffee. While, as you can see, I'm stuck with dishes again. And Ron and Marty are doing a lot of the cooking, but for some reason or other they won't let me cook. And I don't know why, because I think I'm a pretty good cook. I make coffee, I make canned bread and all that kind of stuff, but I get stuck with these dishes in my hands. Look at them. Look at my hands. I mean, they're dishpan. I mean, they're turning white, they're soft, and when I get out and paddle a canoe with Ron, I'm getting blisters now, and I think it's from all these hands in the soap and water. But anyway, oh yeah, this is what I've got right here to clean dishes with, right here. I think I've seen this on Wagon Train. It's that old. I mean, the bristles are soft, I can't clean, and actually, I think Mart is purposely burning the bottom of the pans to make it harder for me to do the dishes, and it's hard. Because when he gives me a pan that he's burnt food in, he kind of has this smirk. Look, I got him again, meaning me, and he's calling me a lackey. I don't understand that. With Ron, now Ron at least, when he cooks, no burn at all. It's perfect. And he always offers to do the dishes. So I know he's sincere, but I don't know about Mart. Yeah, it's getting pretty rough. You know what I think I might do? The fishing has been so good here. You know what? I think, well, I had to take the fish guts and take them a mile downstream so the bears don't get them. In our camp anyway, but I might put those by his tent. You know, I may do that tonight because we've got fish here. We're going to have fish again tonight as a payback. But don't tell him, because I'm not sure if he's going to see this video or not. He may just go ahead and post it without even looking at it. And if he looks at it, he probably won't ask me to come again, but I'm not a lackey. I've got dishes to do. This is hard to do. So, lackey or not, I'm still doing dishes. And, oh, here they come. I got to turn the camera off. Good. Bye. big run. Oh, hey you guys doing? Here I am again. Hey, just to let you know, I didn't put that fish by March 10th. You know, he is pretty smart. He finally realized that I was kind of getting pretty close to saying, hey, I'm not doing dishes anymore. So he actually did dishes one night, and you could tell he didn't like it. But anyway, no more burn. Food was good. He didn't burn the pots anymore, so everything went good. So we'll see what happens. He even quit calling me a lackey. So maybe if I come next year, if he asks me to come again, we'll have a different dishwasher, and we'll see what happens. But everything was good. This is our last day. We're getting ready to head out tomorrow, and had a good time. Okay, see you later.
This is our last full day on Black Lake. This is the third place we've camped. We camped a little, not too far from here, and then we traveled up 3.5 miles. We came back here today to be near our pickup point for the airplane coming in tomorrow morning. The sun is shining now, but yesterday and early this morning it was cold and windy. Yesterday was a day of hiding out under the tarp and in our tents. Been a great 3 weeks here on Black Lake. We were base camping basically. We never really portaged our gear. We did a lot of walking on some portages and traveled several miles away in different directions. But we always left our gear here on Black Lake. It's a beautiful lake, varied terrain. A little tamer down at this end. Up on the other end where we camped the last number of days, it was that beautiful big rock formations, lots of them. But all over, it's a fairly open, barren landscape with a lot of the Canadian shield preventing any tree growth, so to speak. So a lot of lichens and mosses, and then littered with these big erratics laying all over the place that you can see because of the lack of vegetation. We haven't seen any wildlife here on Black Lake. Well, there was a bear right in this area earlier when the guys were fishing right here. There was a bear went running by, and we did see a lot of bear sign, a lot of droppings and things, but they never came around camp, never an issue. We did see a lot of moose and caribou sign, but not on Black Lake. It was always when we got off about one lake away, where there wasn't any, there was less of a human presence at any time. Weather-wise, it's been just beautiful. We did hit the bad weather yesterday, but bad weather for us, but the area really needed the rain, so the cold we could have done without, but the rain was very welcome to soak things up really good, stop any danger of forest fires for the time coming up anyway. We had walleye for 8 meals, which was more than I expected, and we kind of planned on having one more tonight, but the guys went out fishing over to where they'd been very reliable hole at a Narrows and around noon today, and they had one big northern kind of do a swirl next to them, but otherwise the fish turned off for the day.